Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it is a bird. It's the Quirky Bird Show with your host, Robin Savage.
Welcome all there out in internet radio land. That one's for Nolan. This is the Quirky.
Yeah. It's going to take her a year. It's been almost a year, and she still calls me Nolan. I love it. It's Nolan. It's Nolan.
Just be happy she calls you.
It's all right. When I say Robin, I really mean to say it with a Y when I say it.
See, I've known Nolan for over a couple years now, and this is the first time we fought. This is our second fight in one day.
What is it?
This is our second fight.
Is this our fight? I would love to be married to you if this is our fight. Because me and my wife, we fight.
I want to know what you guys fought about before, because this was a wasted fight. What was it?
No, I kept saying it's an internet show. I was like, our theme's about like internet shows, and then he was like, internet radio show. So
blah 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 blah.
I haven't even done like my wacky
Nolan.
Intro.
Yes, do your wacky intro. I want to hear your wacky intro.
Well, actually, that was my wacky intro. I haven't done my introduction. Hey, welcome to the Quirky Bird Show. We talk about all things quirky in the world of the comedic arts. Today, we are talking about on internet radio shows and podcasts. No, on this show, which is an internet radio show, we're talking about internet radio shows and podcasts, which is why I have you here, my friend, because you have an awesome radio show called Let's Be Frank with David Frank. And we have David Frank here.
And you're right. I do mine as a live internet radio show.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put it on a podcast.
Okay.
So that's where it's a little bit different from other people's podcasts.
And which are you finding more success with, the internet show or the podcast? I
think I find more viewers and downloads and stuff like that from the podcast.
Do you? Because I was wondering, because someone was telling me about doing more with the iPods, and then you could be on the iPod list. So I was going to ask that guy.
What do you mean the iPods? You mean iPods, iPads, every smartphone out there?
Okay.
I mean, like all of those things, including your computer?
No, like a podcast, I guess what I'm trying to say. But then a podcast, but you can put it on the iPod list. That's what someone told me.
Okay. There's not an iPod list.
I'm getting schooled in the iPod.
There is. You can put it on iTunes. You can put it on all different podcasts from Podomatic, Stitcher Radio, Podbean.
And then people could go and take a look at it and be like, hey, that seems awesome.
Right. Like what I do is I talk about the fact that that it's live on Comedy Slam Radio every week.
Mm-hmm.
And
when can we hear you?
Monday nights from 9 to 10. But I put a little bit of that show out there as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I spend a lot more time with the podcast audience because there's more of them. And because there's a lot of little stations out there. And although our station has grown tremendously here at Comedy Slam and the whole Entertainment Global Media, Stitcher Radio is worldwide. So when I go out there, it helps to bring attention to here.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes I find I got people from, Canada, Mexico, countries I never even heard of that have downloaded the show. Countries I didn't even know.
What's this Mexico that I hear?
Well, I mean, there's been stuff inside of Russia, and I'm like, really?
Oh, really?
Russia? Oh, all over the place. Not that I never heard of Russia, but I can't pronounce most of the cities that are within it.
You've never tried for a mail order bride?
No. And if I did, she would be Latino. And I just found out why.
Why is that?
Because when you're having sex with a Latino woman, she's earmuffed.
Okay.
But when you're doing that with a Latino woman, guys are into it really for themselves, and all you ladies know that. So we don't always know when you've accomplished your end of the goal.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're with a Latino woman and she speaks English, as soon as she starts speaking what I call speaking tongues, I know I did a good job. Because once I can't understand her anymore, the job's been done. Job has been done. And it's been confirmed. It was confirmed this past Thursday. I'm hoping to confirm it again tomorrow.
Maybe she was just saying, I wonder what's on Jerry Springer. You don't know.
I don't. But I asked her, and she lied to me about it maybe. I don't know. Whatever. My fat head got a little bit bigger.
Well, we're taking a super classy route on this one. I do want to open it up with the quirky question of the day, so I can do my shout outs. Like I was saying, I do the quirky question of the day with the shout outs.
All right.
And this week's quirky question of the day, since it's about internet radio shows and podcasts, what are the advantages for comedians to do their own podcast and internet radio shows? And what's your answer to that? Since you're my co-host, I'll let you be the first to answer.
All right. And since I had no clue that this was the question,
I thought we were Facebook friends. I thought you tuned in every day at 8:30.
We are.
I guess you like the Spanish ladies more than the Quirky Bird show.
I love you and your show, but I'm not allowed to love you as a lady. So I do. My attention does get wandering a little bit here and there. Sorry, I'll never let it happen again. But I didn't know I was going to be asked a question. But I guess my answer is it allows you to get out in front of a bigger audience, not just the people to listen to me, because my show, I'm not the funny guy. Although I make people laugh, I bring on a lot of people that are funny, and it's more of an interview show, but it allows me to market myself, network, intermingle in the comedy community, meet different people, establish a name out there or a brand. So I think for that, it's pretty good.
I agree. And I think kind of one hand washes the other. I know when
that would be good, because if I had,
I would just wash one hand. How would
be
that?
Bad. Yes. And which hand would it be? I guess it would have to be my right hand, because I could do more things with it.
You could try with your forehead to wash. Well, now you have a lady. You can maybe have her wash your hand.
Latino women do like to take care of their men, so I will have to should I text her that right now? Ask her, would she wash me? Is that the question? I think she will.
But no, one hand does wash the other, because when I go on stage, they're like, "Oh, how do you want to be introduced?" So I'm always like, "Oh, I'm the Quirky Bird Show." Right. And then when I'm here, I try to plug it. Although half the time I'm like riding home and I'm like, "Oh, plug my own show."
Right, and I find when I'm on stage, I don't necessarily plug my show, because they're there to see comedy. And not that I'm not funny on the show, but I'm there to work for the venue, make them money. If they tell me it's okay to talk about the show or something, a lot of times that I get booked, it's not because of the show. And if it was, I may bring it up more, but I don't know.
It's always good, I think, for an intro, like, and not that people ever probably take it down, or they're still swigging beer thinking about, like, are they going to order chicken wings? But
it was funny.
It gets said.
I was going on stage once, and somebody did want to talk about it, so I said, "Go ahead, bring it up." And they're like, "This is Dave Frank from the Fat Davey Show," or whatever they said, and they called me nationally syndicated. And I'm like, sweet. People in the audience who knew me, they were like, "Dave, you're nationally syndicated?" I'm like, "I'm listened to all over the nation."
I guess anyone
Slight
could
difference.
Be
well, I'm not syndicated, but it's funny that they said that. It was pretty entertaining. I was like, wow, these people are going to love me. They think I'm great. I didn't get asked for even one autograph.
Let me do just a couple more shout outs. I'm sorry.
Who do you got on there?
Michael Freed, I don't know if you know him. He's a little bit new to the comedy scene. He says, "I think there's definitely an opportunity for greater exposure, to show a broader range, and even to deliver a more complex message to the fans that you can't do in a comedy club. My big celebrity crush, Felicia Day, has a huge podcast success story." Now, I don't know her. Are you familiar with Felicia Day?
No, but we could probably
Google her.
Right.
Next one is my good friend Mary Tischbein, Long Island Mary. She says, "I love Mark Maron's WTF podcast, but seldom do I have time to listen. I try to tune into awesome comedian shows like the Quirky Bird Show." Shout out, woo woo, woo. Yeah, and we've talked about this. She says, "I think it's similar to doing improv, because it really is. I don't ever rehearse for my show." Like, are you ever at home before your show saying, like, "Okay, I'm going to," I mean, like, I'll ask questions, or I'll be like, "Oh, this is a good question," but I don't rehearse for it.
I honestly, I don't even do that anymore. Normally I speak to the people or email with them a little bit before they're going to be on the show. And I'm like, I don't script it. We're just going to BS, and wherever it goes, it goes. You're a comedian. You're a professional. Represent yourself the way you want. I'll feed off of you. You feed off of me.
Yeah, but that's improv. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's impromptu.
And I do it. I mean, obviously, I think one question I ask everybody, and I just don't need to think about it anymore, is I ask them what was the reason that they started doing comedy? And then from there, we just talk about whatever. Last night, I had Josh Sneed on the show. And we talked about comedy, and then we went to professional wrestling because we were both fans. everybody that listens to my show probably hated the fact that we were talking about wrestling, but I loved it. And then we went back to comedy, back to wrestling, and all the events that he had been thrown out of. And he's got a podcast, and he's obviously a national touring comedian.
Oh, yes.
So, I mean, it was a fun show, but, you know, we just went with it. And at the end, I had to remember to plug what I was doing next. I'm like, oh, yeah, we meant to do this.
I'm actually going to be somewhere. Just one more shout out. My good friend, Suzanne Willette, she said, in my opinion, you have more creative freedom. The playing field becomes level. So thank you guys all for answering the quirky question of the day. I put it out there a little late, but
you got responses. And I like that I like the first comment, but on the last comment, I like it because what she said was your freedom. You can do things here that you can't do on stage, and you can find out if people like them long before you try them on stage. You know, less nervy. There's less everything. You just do what you want.
I do. The only drawback, I don't even want to say a drawback, but if I have to weigh it on like which I prefer, comedy to a podcast, or internet radio. In case he's listening, internet radio. It's internet radio, Nolan.
It doesn't matter.
Jeez.
We're talking about podcasts.
But
on our internet radio show, we're talking about podcasts.
You don't get immediate feedback. Like, that's the one thing. I mean, I can assume like a ton of people are listening and just cracking up right now. But when you're on live stage, like, you know immediately if they like you or they don't like you or they're not into you.
Right. And when I'm on the podcast, and not every podcast gives the statistics the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Some break it down to every single city, every single person that clicked the podcast, if they downloaded it, if they listened to it, did they listen to the whole thing or did they skip through parts?
Oh, it really gets to the nitty gritty.
Right. And then there's other ones that just tell you this is how many people listened, this is how many people downloaded.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you a percentage of, you know, maybe 22% of everybody that listened for more than 15 seconds finished the whole show. And then you might have, you know, because there are people that listen for less than 15 seconds.
Uh-huh.
So then it tells you the average amount of time you might have your average amount of time, which is horrible, is on an hour show. Maybe you get 40 minutes of listening time, or.
So you're really into the stats.
Yeah, you know, and I'm bored, so I need to do something.
Well, what happens if the Latino woman comes to your house a lot? You're going to have to like put these stats to the side, speak in tongues.
Since I haven't told her about your show and she doesn't listen to it yet, but I'll let her know to listen to after this. She don't come to my house. I go to her house. I do not often bring ladies back to my bachelor pad. Casa de la Frank is for Dave Frank.
Don't they call it a man cave now? Isn't that the
sometimes
cool
it smells like that, yes. I did not say that. It never smells.
That's okay. I have a regular house, and you know, it's not always lovely. You got 2 kids, 2 cats, a man.
I have none of that. Just me, and it sometimes needs help. Maybe I will let her over if she wants to become the Latino maid. But then I probably won't get all the other benefits, so I might have to cancel that out.
Yeah.
And I'm Jewish, so I'm too cheap to pay for a real maid, so I just live in my filth. I shower. I put a clean shirt on to come to this show.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I mean, you know why I did it? Because like last night I did my show in a blue T-shirt because the video in my show isn't as important to me as the podcast. I want more people listening. And I know you put out the video for everybody to watch it.
I'm thinking about maybe bugging Nolan. Hey, Nolan, when you have time, if you could call our good friend Dougie. That's
why I put on a nice shirt, because I wanted to be representative of a show that's going to be watched where mine is more listened.
Okay, I think I might jump on the podcast bandwagon too.
Everybody's doing it.
I know. That's what the cool kids are doing.
Well, Dave and I were just discussing yesterday, now after the party, and now that I didn't tell Dave this, I'm actually bringing on somebody. I have somebody that's going to, my first employee.
Oh,
So
okay. And you're not paying them?
Is that a volunteer employee?
No, she's actually being paid.
Yeah, I was going to say you're not paying them in...
How come I'm not getting paid? I want to be an employee.
You do as much work as she does, you can get employed. Anyway, what I was saying was what we're looking to, because like he's running into an issue, not running into an issue, but he has to pay X amount because he's an individual. So if you buy it as a company, you get a lot more space for, a little bit. But if everybody puts in...
You realize we're on air, right?
Yeah, I know. Okay. That's what I'm telling you.
Okay.
Wait, isn't this the topic of discussion or not?
Well, just podcasts in general.
Okay, I'll move on. I was just saying it was just as a company move. That's what we're doing as a company wide.
Okay.
I just thought everybody should know that. So if you have any listeners that are like, oh, I'm thinking about being part of the station, but I want my show podcasted. Well, yeah, we're getting there.
Okay.
We are proud of you.
All right, Doug.
We are proud of you.
Okay.
We
Dougie is also
proud of
another
you.
comedian who does the podcast, and he does quite well. I met him.
You said that like you were 106. He does the podcasting. He does the podcasting. He tweets, he twats. He's got all these things.
He does the podcasting. He's a good people. But he's done it for quite some time, and he's got a nice little following. Oh.
And the other thing with the podcasting is the podcasting. I'm getting that from you. One thing that differs from my podcast and other people's traditional podcast is normally when you do a podcast, you're not doing it live. So you have time to edit it out for any mistakes or any sound or anything.
So we could have edited Nolan's whole conversation out.
Huh?
We could have edited Nolan's whole conversation out.
Absolutely. We could have cut him right out. But so mine, it's live. It is what it is. And you get what you get. If I fuck up, you get to hear it. If you don't, you don't. So,
but on the podcast, you can slice and dice.
I don't do that.
Oh,
you can.
You
but
have
I
the ability.
Don't. I am
because once again,
I am fat, lazy bachelor looking for Latino women. So I just take it and go, and I just put it up. I'm also not that bright, so I would imagine if I took the time to learn how to do that stuff, but I don't have any of the equipment. And if I went and got all the equipment, then I wouldn't be able to look at Jesus out there, Nolan.
I bet you would slim down and you would grow hair if you could find the time to do that. But right now, our time...
I probably couldn't grow hair.
Right now, our time is our first guest. Very funny guy. I met him a while back. He's a comedian and he has his own show. We've got Dangerous Dougie Almeida. How you doing, Dougie?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good. Thank you for calling in.
How you doing, Doug?
This is Fat Davey.
My pleasure, guys.
I don't know if you've ever met him. He's also a comedian / podcaster / internet radio guy. So how long have you been doing comedy, Dougie?
We're back 6 years now. I think we're about to hit 6 years this February, actually. So we're approaching that.
Okay.
Great. And where are you based out of, Dougie?
I'm in South Florida, pretty much right in between Boca Raton and Miami.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
I'm going to be heading down
South
that
Florida
way.
comedy scene, as they call it.
Nice. I'm going to be heading down that way towards the end of the month.
Oh, you got a gig booked down there?
Yeah, my aunt wants me to do a birthday party. She's turning 70.
He's stepping up in the world, David. Here.
But I think I might.
You're gonna ask me if I want to help somebody move.
No. I was thinking about trying to find an open mic for Sunday night down there and inviting my family out and then drive back home on Monday.
I bet Dougie could help you. They've got a pretty good comedy scene there in the South Florida.
Dougie Fresh, you're on.
Yes, we used to have a show at the Dubliner at an Irish bar the first Sunday of every month, but they 86'd it, rightfully so, because with football season coming up, it's always hard to get people in the comedy room at 9 o'clock on a Sunday.
Now, Dougie, you also do you also have now, is yours more of an internet radio show or is it a podcast? Which one is yours?
Well, we're on a network called the World Entertainment Information Network. It's a radio show at 10 in the morning, Monday through Friday. Actually, Friday is like a best of the week. And but then obviously now we're on iTunes. It's the Wake Up Late with Dougie show. Mm-hmm. And we're about a year. Been doing it for a little over a year now. And on the network, we do pretty well. We get like 1,500 listeners a day, so we're excited about that. And
that's really good.
And then we put it on we put our own Podbean. I don't know which one you guys use, but our own website on that. And,
right.
Podbean's a great company. Press on that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said David was just saying that Podbean was a good company. So, which do you? I guess we were talking about before. Are you finding that you promote both? Like when you're doing comedy, you try to promote your morning show, and then your morning show you try to promote your comedy.
Well, absolutely. It goes hand in hand. Like I have these little flyers I hand out whenever I perform. I take it with me, which one side is like my headshot, basically, with my Twitter and Facebook information, so people can follow me on that. And on the other side of it is the logo for the radio show and when it airs. So, whenever it's great because when you come off stage and you have a good set and there's a couple hundred people walking out of the room, it's great to hand them this and get listenership that way.
Absolutely.
And
yeah, that's very smart.
I think that helps more than the other way because then on the radio, I looked at our Podbean report, and we got people in France, England, Germany that listen to the podcast.
It's one of the great. That's one of the great things about the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but it's great to see who you're reaching and where they're listening, and when you see that people from France in the same city are clicking back again, it gives you that little feeling of success. Because I know I at least I feel that because I look at the numbers all too much, like once, twice a day. And I'm about a year into doing it, so I'm still addicted to the numbers, like a crackhead's addicted to crack.
I love it's great, right? When you know you got a certain number that like we've been on there a little, like I think we've been on our own podcast there on the site for about a little over a month, maybe a month, and we got like about 2,000 hits now.
Oh,
that's
wow,
awesome.
That's really good.
I had a similar experience with Stitcher Radio. I joined Stitcher Radio, and in the first 6 weeks, I made it into the top 100 comedy shows.
Oh,
I didn't stay there long, but you're there for a whole week. With them, you stay there for the week. So I stayed in the top 100 for 2 weeks, and I'm still probably in the top 10%, but I got to get another exciting show to get back up in there. Like it breaks it down into the minutes. I could tell you that if I have over 2,500 listening minutes, it's going to be, odds are I'll be back up in the top.
In the top again.
Yeah, within a certain amount of time. It's crazy.
So, Dougie, you were saying that your stats were, once you went to the iTunes?
Well, with Podbean, I guess once you set up your site, it automatically you register to be on iTunes.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So, we promote, just for simplicity, it's after a show, somebody says, oh, your radio show, so check us out on iTunes.
Oh,
Wake Up Late with Dougie show.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a catchy name. Some people think it's long, but that's exactly what it is. I don't wake up early anymore. I threw away my alarm clock many years ago. And,
you're a comedian, for God's sake.
I wake up when I wake up. And truth be told, we air it at 10, and we joke around. It's live on tape. It's recorded live on tape because sometimes you get a good group of comedians together and get a nice. Because that's the success of our show. Like myself, my co-host Lenny Travis.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you ever met Lenny, but he used to open for Richard Jeni for the last 6 years of Richard's touring career.
Oh, wow.
And he's funny. And another local radio guy down here, Peter Leonard. And then we get, it's fun to have comedians on, and we put a nice mix. So, we do it once a day. So I think that helps too, because sometimes instead of doing a weekly podcast, there's always basically 4 new shows a week. So people will go back just to hear an hour of it, because the show's an hour long.
Oh.
And
that's what we do. We do one show a week.
Yeah.
That's what you do, one show a week.
One show a week, yeah.
So it's a little different.
No, we do 4 shows a week, an hour long.
Right. No. I was saying myself and the Kwirky Bird show is 1 hour a week.
Oh, I got you, yeah. Yeah.
We are not as cool as you.
It's fun, too, because so much stuff happens in a week nowadays. It's like, not like you can...
Well, do you... Because I've seen your act, and it seems like you kind of remind me of the... I always hate to say old school, but I mean you're very Johnny Carson-esque. It seems like you're very quick and you're very topical. Do you try to keep your like your overall stuff topical?
I like, whenever I travel, I like to, whatever's topical should work in a regional crowd, because you never know if you're going to be, like, a regional story. I was in the comic strip in New York City about a year and a half ago, and I told a Denny's joke, and it's usually a good joke. I'm like, no, what's going on? I'm bombing. And it turned out that half the room was from Australia and the other half of the room was from Germany, being in New York. So
what is this Denny's?
They didn't know what Denny's was. So, usually when you talk about topical humor, and that's what's great about the radio show, doing a show every day, you come up with a story, something happens, and sometimes it's fun to come out to the audience and open up something everybody knows about, to kind of get them and say, this guy knows what he's talking about. But for the rest of it, my style is kind of like, I don't know if we call it old school hacky. I don't know if you're going with that, Rob, but I call it. No,
you're very one-liney, topical. Like today President Obama, boom, 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 boom. But it's. Yeah,
I mean, I do a lot of the storytelling but I like the joke. I like to set up jokes. I like to be telling punchlines every 10 to 15 seconds.
Okay.
Every 20. I like to set things up and hit it, but in a storyline as opposed to just coming out vaudevillian. in a sense. So, but yeah, it's a New York style. It's like, you know, like if you're in New York, you're doing 10 or 15 or 20 minute showcase sets. So you want to try to get normally an hour act into something. So
into 15 minutes.
I'd love to have an hour act. I'd love to have 15 solid minutes. I'm just a little. Yeah. I'm only barely over 2 years, so I'm okay with not having 15 solid minutes yet. I'm happy when I get 15 seconds of stage time.
Hey, well, you know what? That's really honest. There's a lot of, you know, Pat Garrity is a comedian that tours through Florida, from Florida area.
Mm-hmm.
And I think many years, I think I was in my second or third year, and he asked me, he goes, "How much time do you have?" And I said, I could do 20, but I could do 15 solid minutes. And he says, he goes, "You know what? You're the first comedian that ever said that. I didn't say an hour and a half." I'm like, well, I don't want to go up there and linger.
Right. You know what happened? You say you could do an hour. They're like, great. That's just the amount of time I needed. And I would get stuck doing an hour. And I wouldn't, after 15 minutes, I'd be like, well, my watch broke. I think it's been an hour. I'm got to go now.
I mean, if you're good with the crowd work, you could maybe fake it 5-10 minutes. But I mean, I don't know. I would be careful. Like if you only have 15 minutes, you said an hour. Like if you had 15 minutes and you said, I have 20 minutes, you can kind of fake that. But
I think that.
Well, I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example that I'm auditioning for Carnival Cruise Lines in the next 2 months. And we're a part of a new tour called the Stand Up Guys Comedy Tour. Myself, Lenny Travis, and Michael Panzica, who was working for Carnival for the last 10 years, and got let go because he was indiscretions with a young woman. But that's another story. But now
makes for good jokes.
Now we have this tour. It's true. And but he, you know, in order to do that, to be on a cruise ship, what you need is at least an hour, which I'm there, which is nightclub. So, because sometimes you do 2 shows and you'll do a 30-minute show, then you'll come back to the same crowd, so you do another 30-minute show, maybe with one other comedian or yourself. But you always need, then you also need 30 minutes of family clean, which in most cases, in comedy-wise, that means not funny. But, you know, but you got to have, so my writing, everything I'm focusing on is I got like 15 minutes of family clean. So I need to get at least another, you know, obviously 15 minutes if you're doing the math at home of that. So,
but you know,
and that's in all due respect, because when he asked me that, I said, I'll be honest with you, I'm not ready yet. I don't want to audition. I need 15 more minutes. He goes, well, it's good you did, because I'd hate you to go on a ship and get fired because you're lingering on stage with a bunch of kids in the audience.
Well, and I heard they actually helicopter you off the boats. Like I hear if you're a comedian and you get fired, they don't play around. Like they will bring you the helicopter and they will take you.
Well, I've heard either the helicopter or at the next port. Because I've had a couple of people that have been on my show to do some interviews, and some of them are huge fans of being on the boats, and some of them are like, yeah, it's not the greatest gig I ever did, but the pay is good. Some people get treated better than others. I guess if you're a regular on the boat, you get a halfway decent room, and
yeah,
I've heard sometimes when you're starting, you could be down in the basement next to the mop. I don't know. I don't know how that goes, but I'm not good enough to be on a boat.
And I think you guys got to, I don't know if you heard of Warren Durso, who recently toured in Florida. And Warren worked once on a boat, and that was his last time. Because Warren will tell you, it's very regimented. The thing it's that. You have a lot of rules. You know, you can't really socialize too much, and, you know, because everybody knows who you are. And but you're right. You know, the rooms you get when you start, you're basically by the engine room. You know, you're like dong, 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 trying to sleep on the damn boat. And, you know, so but it is. I'm not a good cruise ship guy because I feel a cruise ship's just an oversized Jiffy John. You know, I don't. You know, it's just not. You know, it just seems like a cesspool of just bacteria and everything. So
being a fat guy, I can tell you the food is good.
When you're on a boat, you got no connection with anybody. You can't get on the internet. You're basically out there.
Oh, I never thought about that.
You actually can get on the internet now if you're a millionaire and want to pay for the Wi-Fi service.
Yeah. It's like $4 million to like be able to.
Or you have to do your show for free. If you want to be connected to the outside world as a comedian, you could be on the boat, but you're not getting paid.
Oh, I actually never thought about that until now. Because in my mind, I'm like, yeah, once my kids get older, that's what I'm going to do. But, you know, I've got 12 years. Maybe they can get internet connection better in that time.
Yeah.
Well, that's why, you know, like, that's by day, you know, I managed money for 23 years, and that's how I can afford to do comedy. And so, you know, that'd be rough for me to be out of contact for 7 days.
Yeah.
You know, not being able to see stocks and
trade
call people
and
when something happens.
do that.
So that's a difficult part of that. That's why when we do it, I think I'm going to try to do like a 1 week a month, or a 5-7 day week cruise once a month. But
Yeah.
you're right, Frank. The pay is unbelievable. The pay is much better than it will probably ever be again in comedy clubs.
Yeah, I'll tell you a funny story. I had Dan Nadine on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he does some cruise ships. But he told me a funny story about Judy Carter and about just pushing for making more and just asking for more money. She was on a cruise ship with some other comedians that were on there. She got paid $25,000 to get flown to the boat to do one show, and she got off at the next stop.
Wow.
They were getting $1,500 to $2,500 for the week.
I would still take. I would take either salary.
Either would be good, but my point is, as you grow in comedy, you can't be scared to ask for more money. And I'm not that I can even ask for money at this point. You know, sometimes I get paid $25 to host or something or MC. But you just can't be scared. If you got the testicular fortitude to get on stage, you might as well have enough to ask for some more money. Oh, you do.
Well,
Go ahead,
I'll tell you a true story. A lesson learned by London Lee.
Oh, I met him one time. He's really cool.
I took London Lee. I toured with him. I worked with him a few times. And one time, London calls me. He says, "Dougie, I got a deal for you. You're going to call this guy. He's at a country club. He's going to ask you how much money to do the show. You're going to tell him $2,000." I said, "I'm going to tell him $2,000. What? It's me? I'm the only actor." Like, "Listen to me. You're going to tell him $2,000. You agree to get $1,200 at worst." I said, "Okay." Guess what I got paid that weekend?
$2,000
show at this country club, $1,500. And you're right. You got to be. We just did a here in the Bonaventure Resort this weekend. Myself, Lenny, and Perry Sack did a show in Bear Webb. I don't know if you met Bear. We did a show for there's like 250, 300 people at this Bonaventure Resort, and it's an NA group, so like a corporate event. And we ended up only making, I think the total budget was $500. And we saw the size of the place. Lenny is like, "Dude, look at how many people in here. We should have gotten a lot more money." And that's a great Lenny Travis, by the way. He knows Lenny Travis. And,
one of the things that I was told was when you're doing these corporate events, you can just ask them, "What's your budget? What are you paying for what are you paying the musician? What are you paying the caterers?" And when they tell you, "Oh, we're paying $6,000 for this, $4,000 for that," they're already hearing big numbers, and then you know what to hit with. And not that it's always going to work, but if you wind up getting $500
in any negotiation, you're right. That's the best way to open up is to ask them, "Well, what's your budget for the show?"
Absolutely.
And then if somebody's smart, they'll say, "Well, what do you usually get paid?" And I said, "Well, it's usually determined or predicated on the budget of the show. So what's the budget of the show?"
Right. And, well, then you say if you just want to know, it's $5,000. And they were like, "Oh, well, we were thinking more 750. Well, if you want to give it to me for $1,500, I could make this exception for you this one time.
Absolutely.
There you go.
That's the Jewish salesman coming out.
Now you need the time on your belt, and you'll be making that money. Man.
I'm a fat guy. My belt can't handle any more pressure. All right.
Well, Dougie, thank you so much for calling in. We've got back-to-back to guests booked up, but I'll give you this time to plug anything you want. Plug any of your shows. Plug your podcast / internet radio show.
Shameless self-promotion
All right.
time. I love
Very
Shameless
good. Well, two
self-promotion.
things. Fun. The Wake Up Late with Dougie show. Find it on iTunes, and just go to the Wake Up Late with Dougie show, and you'll find our webcast and all archive shows. I'll be at Off the Hook Comedy Club this weekend in Marco Island, opening for Jim Florentine, if anybody's around.
Oh, look at you.
And I'll be at, back up in your neck of the woods, I'll be at Bonkers in, somewhere close, in East Orlando, downtown Orlando, the 28th and 29th. And I might be opening for Jose Sarduy at Side Splitters in Tampa.
Oh.
And Thanksgiving.
Nice.
I'm going to try to get
Thanksgiving Day
Jose
weekend.
Sarduy next week, although I haven't called him yet. But he's a great guy. I've worked with him several times. He does
Absolutely.
He does
you
a
can hear
lot.
one of our shows with him. He was very funny. He had his mother in the studio with us, so that was very awkward but funny.
His mother was in there? Yeah, because he makes a lot of...
Yeah, Jose Sarduy brought his mother in here, and I'm like, this is an R-rated show.
And he has lots and lots of... he's got lots and lots of jokes about his mother.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the last thing I want to plug real quick is follow me on Twitter at Dougie Dangerous on Twitter. Been getting a lot of followers on that lady, so I appreciate that.
Okay.
But Robin, thanks you guys. Frank, thanks so much for your time, and you guys keep plugging away. Love your show.
Okay. Thank you so much. And we will be right back. I think we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back. And our next guest will be Nancy Lombardo. I'm sorry.
LaughingSombrero.com. That's LaughingSombrero.com. This is where you want to be. LaughingSombrero.com. LaughingSombrero.com.
Okay, welcome back to the Quirky Bird Show. We talk about all things quirky in the world of the comedic arts. We have our guest host on today, Fat Davey, Dave Frank, the man. How are you doing, Dave? Thank you for coming on. I always have fun when we work together.
I do as well, and that's why I came in. It's a great time. I'm doing good. You know, life's been good. Drive-thrus serve food fast. I eat. My base has been growing. If I ever non-voluntarily start losing weight, things are going bad.
Let's see. Before we get our next guest on, we have to plug 3 things. Our station is now sponsored by www. You go to thebenefits.com. Lovely webcast. Also, ibidafly.com. Make sure you add the wwws because it's 1997. And also go to lscases.com. lscases.com. Because if you need good cases, go to LS Cases.
Well, they got cases for iPhones and smartphones. So that's good stuff. Everybody likes that. That's like the most popular thing in America now.
Oh, is it really the case thing?
It is the case thing. That's what they do. And sorry about your damn luck if you don't got an iPhone, but you can go there if you do got an iPhone and get some cool crap.
We're talking today about the internet radio show, and we're also talking about podcasts. So we are trying to get on the line Nancy Lombardo, and she is out of New York City. And she's
Lombardo, like Lombardo's Pizza.
Yeah, and I'm always very impressed with her. She not only is she a comedian and has a Facebook podcast.
She's got a beautiful face on her Facebook too.
She does, and
she's a hottie.
She has lots of like famous people. She schmoozes with the big people.
Well, you got to be the big people. She don't schmooze with me. I'm the biggest person in this damn station. At least right now, I might be the heaviest anyway.
And I
don't know. Sean might outdo me after a McDonald's trip.
She also does something called Mama Palooza, which I think is awesome because I am also a comedian and a mother.
She's awesome. Who the heck is?
We're looking at Nancy Lombardo's Facebook page, and she's got a very, very pretty woman with her.
She has done so many. I don't know her name, but she's done so many different things on TNT and stuff that. Oh, I love that broad. She's beautiful.
Look, she's got
goddess.
Dick Cavett with her. Okay, and I think we got on the line Nancy Lombardo.
I'm excited.
Are you on there, Nancy?
Oh yeah, I'm here. I've been watching your podcast.
We are very impressed on your Facebook page. You've taken a lot of pictures with a lot of famous people.
You got a new girl on there. This is Dave Frank, Fat Davey. You got a new girl on there that I had a crush on. She used to be.
Rosario?
Is she Spanish or half black? And she was on
Rosario
Angel.
Dawson?
Oh, she's a hot mama. She's making me happy.
Nice.
She's been on a couple of different shows and she does phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, aside from being beautiful, she's
and
entertaining.
Films as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which films has she been in?
Well, did she do Rent? Did she the musical version of Rent? Was that her?
Oh,
I think it might have been.
She is very pretty. At first I thought it was Aisha Tyler, and then I realized it was someone different.
I first saw her when she was in the TV series Angel.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, Angel.
Oh, she was great in that. It was a good show.
Davey's getting very excited.
Getting excited. I'm feeling a sweat breaking out.
I can tell there's a bond between you.
I don't think Rosario knows. She doesn't know.
She doesn't know how great of a fat guy I am.
No.
But Nancy, let's talk about you.
She told me, she goes, I have always liked the large man.
With the bald head.
With the bald head. You tell her Fat Davey said he loves her forever.
If I see her again, I will.
All right.
Now, Nancy, you and I have a lot in common. Not only are we both comedians, we both have our own internet shows. You're a mom too. You it sounds like you have a big hand in the whole Mamapalooza.
Oh yeah. Since the beginning, actually, I was the first comedian.
Oh wow!
Great.
In 2002, when Joy and I met on a photo shoot for a magazine, and she happened to keep my card, and then told me she was putting together the show, and I said, "Sure, I'm in." And so from that, Joy Rose and I've been performing every year, and I'm the MC. I've been the MC since 2002, I believe. Yeah.
Oh
for the outdoor event.
That's great.
So I MC that's like 5,000 to 10,000 people.
Wow. Now, the Mamapalooza, that's more than just comedy. I thought they had like moms who were in rock bands, and isn't it sort of...
it's more than just comedy. What I created was a show called Momedy, which was Mom Comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I was doing that for a while. And then it's bands, it's writers, it's artists, it's all inclusive. Actually, the Motherhood Museum on 84th Street and First Avenue is just celebrating its 1-year anniversary.
Oh,
awesome.
Wow.
So
that's really cool.
So yes.
That is.
But I also have a cable show in New York City on 3 channels in cable.
You go, girlfriend.
Down
with your bad self.
Very self-serving. But yes, I have that along with Comedy Concepts on Blog Talk Radio.
I'm a part. I've listened to your blog cast, and I get the pop-up messages when you have it, and that's why I was impressed. I'm like, I've got some...
That sounded so exciting. I listened to, and I got the pop-up messages, and can I wear my helmet while I'm on the show?
The person that had the the thing, it's a noun syndrome.
Very impressive. It's awesome.
My mind goes a lot faster than my mouth does, and it doesn't often keep up with each other.
And she invited me here, and she knew I would most likely pick on her a little bit. It's bound to happen.
Well, you know what Steve Martin says about comedy, and he said that stand-up comedy is your lips moving and your mind racing ahead.
Maybe that's why I'm no good at it.
It's so true, because when I'm on stage sometimes, and Nancy, it's probably happened to you, and I'm telling a joke, I'm probably like 7 jokes ahead, or I'm worried this or that, or oh my God, did I get the line? And then how am I going to end it? Because it's going to be, that really is true. Like, you're sort of just moving your lips and your mind's going a million miles an hour.
Yeah, you're way ahead. It's like, oh, great. I just noticed I got the check spot. Yay.
I think I started learning how to think ahead a little bit when I used to play a lot of pool.
Oh.
When you play pool, you have to
strategize like 3.
You have to say, okay, I'm going to be here, here, and here in certain games, whether it's 9-ball or a game called straight pool. You have to be thinking that I want to do this to get to here to get to there.
The thing about stand-up comedy is that you really, you can't make it about you, and you can't make it about being married to the joke that you wanted. Oh, I want to tell this joke tonight. You got to go when you look at your crowd and you go, great, prom night, change that around.
Yes, you have to be.
Mom jokes, it's prom night. Go right to the drug jokes.
Exactly.
I'm always scared of doing the drug jokes, because then people are going to find out the drugs I may have done, supposedly. But you can't have a good drug joke without good experiences.
But
no, actually, when I talk about it, I talk about which things I think should be legal and which shouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
So, in all fairness, I don't propagate or use drugs, but I do talk about the fact that no one ever commits a violent crime on pot.
That is true.
Unless somebody stole their pot.
Closing the refrigerator door.
But that is true. When you go,
nobody does that. Nobody ever goes to a gun tower, and if they did, they're going to be a terrible shot anyway. But
they're going to be so sleepy.
So that's my point. Is just with that, where I think alcohol should be the controlled substance.
I agree.
It's great. In New York City, they want to take soda out. In New York City, aren't they trying to ban sodas and all sorts of crazy stuff now?
Yeah, no, just the big gulp sodas and
Go ahead, take down the big gulps, but raise the price on cigarettes and alcohol. No problem.
It's ironic in that he wants to take away big gulps, but impose breastfeeding. Just saying.
Now, Nancy, how long have you been doing comedy? How long have you been a stand-up?
Oh, since I was 3 days old, I think.
Sweet. So, like, what's that? Like a week and a half?
I've always been performing. Stand-up comedy. I've always been doing some form of comedy, or I've written for television and film, and so I as a mom, I waver back and forth because I thought being a mom was my priority.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to, take a lot of career back steps to go forward. But I took a job writing for a television show when I was 9 months pregnant, and I just showed up that way. I didn't tell them. They hired me over the phone. I was like, yeah, I could be there.
Nice.
I showed up 9 months pregnant. So it's a lot of years, just a lot of years. I don't really like putting a thing on it because I go back and forth. I'm also an actress. So
how long have you been doing
comedy,
entertainment? Is that a better
how
question?
How long have I been in entertainment? I think since I was 2.
Okay.
No,
and you're 22 now, so it's 20 years?
And I always knew I was going to do it. It was never a question in my mind, ever, since I was a child. This is what I would end up doing.
Now, how did you juggle motherhood? Because you can't see, but I actually have my daughter off camera, and she was watching like SpongeBob videos, and now she's kind of tuckered out. And I find that too. I sort of have to juggle, and there's things that I want to just go for, but then being a mom does have to be number one.
Well, I'll tell you what. When I was a mom, what I would do is I just got more creative in what jobs I chose.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, I'm a great comedy coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I would coach people out of my home.
Oh, wow.
And I would write
awesome
jokes for them, long distance. So I had people on different coasts. Say, if they were accepting an award on a TV show, they knew that I would give them a break because I was working out of my home.
Wow.
So I was very reasonable. So I would I would underbid everybody. Oh, yeah, what was the thing I was going to tell you about? You was talking about negotiating.
Mm-hmm.
I have one more negotiating tactic you can use.
Okay.
When they keep going back and forth, what I tell them is, say, look, let's name a price we'll both be happy with.
You should have been a used car salesman.
and usually they go, well, they'll be happy with $3, and then I go up a little. Well, I'd be happier with $3.50. And then they'll go, oh, I'd be happy, So you go back and forth. But what I do, my other secret is I reduce the amount of time I do. If they want to pay less, I do less.
Okay.
Now,
That's all.
Do you have, and I'm not going to ask you what your set fees are, but if you're doing a corporate event versus a comedy club versus a theater.
Oh, corporate is always different.
Corporate's always more.
Don't pay anything. They should be embarrassed what they. Why don't you just throw me a lamb chop and some coins on the stage?
Yeah. I spoke to Tom Dreesen once, and he told me a great story about how bad the comedy clubs pay. Back in the day when they had the big comedy club strike, all that came together, and they got $25 to do a set, and that was all that time ago. Now they get half that now.
They're still getting $25.
I don't think they even get 25 anymore. I think it's less than 25 now. In Hollywood,
they get 25, and if you're a headliner, you might. Because I was talking to a friend of mine about a very well-known comedian, and I was saying, your picture's in the magazine all the time. I see you're headlining and you're doing that, and the name that you're in the show. Yeah, for that I'm getting $100. I said, so they're using you to advertise, and you're only getting $100,
and they're using that same person to sell liquor and sell their chicken wings.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's I said the comedy has reverted into, and I won't name the clubs, but it's really reverted into Oliver, the story of Oliver Dickens.
Yes.
The Oliver. Like every club owner is Fagin. Go out there and bring me some audience, kids. And I'll put you up. You don't even have to be funny.
You know what?
Bring me all your friends.
We were just having that conversation before we walked. I mean, to the T having that conversation. That was off camera. So.
Yeah. And you know what?
Oh, yeah. That's what they are. You're just like, you might as well be alligator bait because they're going to tie you to a rope. Go, bring me some audience members. Yeah, you can perform.
Now, real quick, to actually tie it to our theme, how did you start doing your radio show? Was it kind of what you're talking about, sort of stretching your horizons and doing something a little bit different?
Well, I've always been an innovator on that level. I've never waited for anybody to give me anything. If I wanted to do a show, I've written so many one-person shows. My next show is going to be called my absolutely last one-person show. And so I've always been, and I've always performed, and I'm always looking for the next thing. I just go, what's paying now? That's what I go, what's paying now? They go, oh, celebrity impersonators. And I go, okay, let me see who I look like. Bam. Okay, that's what I'm doing for corporations.
Wow.
So I would just go whatever the next thing that's paying with that. Whatever the highest amount of pay for the least amount of work. And so I would springboard off of that, and then I go, well, I really wish I was doing a TV thing. I can't stand that I have all this, because I also, on my cable show, you can watch worldwide on the internet, New York City time, 7 p.m. every Friday. Just go to mnn.org.
MNN.org, okay.
And like Manhattan Neighborhood Network. It's on 3 channels in New York City, and believe it or not, a lot of people are watching cable now because they're turning off their HBO and Showtime. They can't afford it.
Bingo.
And so I said, I learned to edit. So I said, what do I need to do this? I know what I need to do. I need to get a Mac, and I'll edit. And I've always filmed every performance I've ever done. So I have all this footage from all the shows over the years. And then I started talking to bands I'd meet, and they wanted, would I put their videos on my TV show? And then I talked to people who made short films, and I said, sure. And people just throw content at me, and so I edit these shows together with me doing stand-up in various locations, and then I'll have short films or videos of other comedians, and I put it together. But I stopped letting my life be in someone else's hands. So I guess that answers your question.
No, I am telling you, once again, I'm at loss of words because I needed to hear this from someone who's, you don't even know what kismet this is, like you telling me this on this particular day. So thank you very much.
Amazing.
You really are, because, especially like as a woman and you've got so much stuff going on, you're like, oh, what am I doing with my life? Is this really the direction I need to take? And I'm like, no, of course it is. I just need to.
Can I ask you a question, quirky one?
Yes.
Are you happy?
Doing comedy, yes, I am.
Are you happy with everything else in your life? You love being a mom?
I love being a mom.
So why stress out over any of it? As long as I'm not a dad, but I have a job and I do comedy, and I'm happy.
Once you become a parent, you become the least most important person in the world.
But no, and I wanted her to say,
important person.
Right, and I wanted her to say that she was happy. Not that I'm pro everybody having kids, but I don't worry about what anybody thinks. When I do my show here and when I do my time on stage, it makes me happy. Well, that's it. I'm a happy guy.
With It's a Mom and Nancy, I don't know if you had these emotions. I feel very happy. I do, doing comedy, but I don't want to have my happiness
affect them
or in spite of them, or you know what I mean?
Well, how old is your child? How old is your child?
My kids are 6 and 8, so they're pretty little.
Oh, hey, that's 2 audience members right there.
There you go.
When my son was 5, I would perform for him and let him give me notes.
There you go.
And my son was actually very good. He would sit, and I go, no, don't give me notes till the end, Michael. And he would go, okay. My son would go, Mom, he'd go, I got to tell you this. You're talking too fast. Nobody's going to understand what you're saying. Oh, that's a good note. Thanks, son.
Heck yeah.
My daughter wrote me one joke, and almost every single show I tell it, and it kills. I'll tell it right now. My daughter, this is the joke my daughter wrote me. When I had my son, I should have named him Vember, and then when he gets in trouble, I'd say November. That's a good joke. November.
It's pretty good.
There you go.
Yeah, she was like 4 when she wrote it.
The good jokes come from that, but you know what? I think whether you have children or not, the whole point is not to put your fate in someone else's hands. Write your own shows, put together your own shows, whether it be podcast or traveling or a traveling podcast, but you do it, and don't put it in other people's hands. And then also, don't let the clubs define you as a comedian. I'm an outside-the-box comedian. Because I will do weird voices and I will sing. Mm-hmm. As part of my act, I improvise a whole song around an audience member.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, I know. And sometimes I'll decide, I'll look at the crowd and go, I think I want to be the dirty nun tonight. And
nice.
So I'll decide. And you were talking about time before I was listening to the podcast. And my thing is about, it's good to have that good 10 minutes or that good. But what's really more important is to have that confidence in yourself, to break away from your comfort zone and go, you know what, I can work this crowd and have fun with them, and they're going to love me because I love them.
Wow. Wow, you're a wise lady, Nancy. You're a wise lady.
And I agree with you 100%, Nancy. And
that's part of it. So you don't let them define you, and don't let the clubs define you. You know, and you probably read my bio and everything I've done, so I'm not going to go into that. But I never listened to the clubs. I never, do some fat jokes, do some, I said, but I'm skinny. do some women jokes. I go, what are women jokes? Fat jokes. I go, I'm thin. You know, and I would they just wanted me to do it a certain way, but I just waited, and I knew that I'm just going to be myself. And this is the kind of comedy I do. And sometimes, they want that every 15 seconds laugh kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'll do that for about 10 minutes before I break away and start working the crowd. Because that's what I'm really good at. I'm really good at crowd work.
Wow.
I can pick up on something on the crowd and I see that in your face. I know. You're fooling nobody.
Now, now both yourself, Nancy, and Robin you guys have both been doing comedy a lot longer than me. And I'm to the point now where I'm getting the guest sets and I'm getting MC gigs. But when you're doing your MC gigs, they're saying, okay, you could do a few minutes of your comedy, but do a little bit of
you have to plug the stuff. Yeah,
plug some stuff.
Do crowd
try
work.
A little crowd work. Before, when I was if you're just getting a guest spot, do your material because you're only getting 4 or 5, and you're trying to make the best impression. Do what you know is strong. Once you've earned the right to do the MC work, then they'll let you do it. For me, that's when they start letting me do a little bit of crowd work, which is when you start to feel the confidence that I can veer off and then go back.
Here, can I just suggest something?
Sure.
May I suggest something to you?
Yes.
Don't only do clubs. Find alternative performance spaces.
Oh, and I do.
Really grow.
But we happen who gives me this advice is Bob from Snappers, and Bob he gives it to me. He's nurturing.
Things said on the Quirky Bird Show are the opinions of. No, I'm just teasing.
Oh no, but he gives me advice, and when I go to other places, it's a little bit more crowd work, but. That for right now, I normally see the biggest crowd.
You know what? You would be probably a great storyteller. I really don't know your work, but I have a sense that you're a great storyteller. I would go to, I don't know if they have the Moth down there, any of those story rooms. That's the new rage is storytelling.
Oh, really?
Going back to the comedy of storytelling, yeah. And as much as there are too many comedians do boom, boom,
Yeah, like boom. Machine gun comedy.
Storytelling. So people want to break it up. So they want to break it up. And I've performed with comedians who do boom, 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 joke, joke, joke. But then the audience comes up to me afterwards and goes, that was really fantastic. I didn't see that coming.
Mm-hmm.
I do an Edith Piaf parody to the audience. I just go crazy. And so it's like watching a burning car. And she's not telling jokes, but I'm going to watch this.
Heck yeah.
And you just got to do that. And storytelling is a good way to do it, and storytelling, because you are now competing with everybody and their brother out of work who thought they could be a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
So you got to do your 5 minutes.
Absolutely.
So just be yourself. And you know what? Because I'm watching the podcast here. If you just look at yourself one day and celebrate everything you like about yourself and bring that to the stage, you won't even have to tell a joke.
Wow.
That's very nice.
They're just going to love you. They're just going to go, you know what's great about me? Look at this smile. You know what's great about me? When I laugh, all of me laughs. You know what's great about me?
Wow. Thank you so much, Nancy, for coming on.
Sure.
At this point, plug anything you want to plug if you have any shows coming up.
Oh, definitely. Well, always. I'm a total pimp whore. You can tell anybody. Just go to Comedy Concepts Blog Talk Radio. I have pop-up shows because I'm on the road right now. Pop-up shows during the week. Usually, I always have a Friday show if I'm not doing background work in some movie or something.
Okay.
But, so I have a show there. And if you join Blog Talk Radio, join my chat room, and you can pimp yourself.
Oh, okay.
So just join the chat room when we're in there. And the good thing about joining my chat room on Comedy Concepts Blog Talk Radio, Friday mornings at 10:30, is that there are probably 4 to 5 other radio stations that are my fans.
Oh, okay.
And they have put other people on their shows.
Oh, okay.
And I do the same for them. I've discovered other people on their shows, so we cross-pollinate.
Oh, that's what you
And
got to do. Cross
my
network.
advice because I know you were doing advice about podcasting before, is to listen and go into chat rooms because that is how you build your audience.
Yes, it is. I blast my podcast everywhere.
Yeah, he does. He blasts.
I let anybody who comes into my chat room, I say, pimp yourself, post yourself.
Wow.
And then every Friday you just watch. I have no idea what I have on now because my computer crashed and I had to put all repeats on. So I put on shows. I've done over, what am I up to? 350 episodes.
Wow.
So I don't have no idea what's on because I was touring during the summer. So I was sending in whatever extra.
Oh, so I was thinking you were doing live, but I was thinking because I see your stuff because it looks like you always have Wednesday and Friday podcasts, and so I thought that was live.
Yeah, those are live.
Oh, those are live.
My television show.
Oh, okay.
Is not. My television show is edited, so
Right.
I mean that's edited, and but I mean I film it, I edit it,
You physically do it, yes.
You
But
handle
what
your own
happens
on
is
everything. You do everything alone.
But here's the great thing: I'm also a friar. You know the Friars Club?
Yes.
I don't know if you know the Friars Club. Okay, I'm a member of the Friars Club.
Uh-huh.
And do you know, a lot of these people, they watch my TV show.
Wow.
They go, and they'll be in Florida because they can watch it in Florida. You just got to be 7 o'clock in New York City time
Right.
and go to mnn.org and says the Nancy Lombardo show at 7 p.m. But they'll watch it. So people, it's amazing how many people do watch these alternative stations.
Well, and I mean, I could rant and rave how much I hate reality TV, but I mean, I think anyone who's just sick of stupidity wants to get like smarter shows and smarter stuff on there.
Tune into some quirkiness instead of stupidity.
Yeah.
There you
Wouldn't you
go.
rather see Robin
yeah.
Savage
Well,
than Snooki?
I'm definitely quirky.
Absolutely.
I'm
not gonna get-
Oh yeah, and I have a CD out on CD Baby, but it's a short CD, but it's really crazy. It's called Color Me Crazy on
Color Me
CD
Crazy.
Baby.
Okay. Well,
Color Me Crazy, but it's that's how you got to do it. Just like I said, celebrate yourself, and everything else happens.
oh,
That's
what
great advice.
Great advice. Thank you so much for coming on, Nancy.
All right, thank you for having me.
Oh,
You have
thank
a great
you.
night,
Best
Nancy.
wishes.
Oh, thank you. You too. You too. Oh, Nancy Lombardo.
It's very nice. Thank you.
Okay, well, and Davey, thank you for coming on as well. As
You're
always,
welcome.
it's always a pleasure. We've been bonding and
I've
hovering
been
over
waiting
the
to
Facebook.
tell you that you are horrible. It's almost the end of the day, and Jessica Carlton has not had her happy birthday from you yet. When are you going to say happy birthday to her?
I'm sorry, Jessica Carlton, if you're watching, happy birthday.
What about these three others? Who are the three others?
Sorry, Jessica Carlton, Mike Carr, Rose Murch, and Demetrius Meech Dog. Meech Dog is 39. I like
Beach
Meech
Dog Willa.
I haven't seen Meech Dog in a long time. He's another comedian around here. Okay, I think that's it. Nolan, are you gonna take us home? Maybe not. He's got a pouch
He's
full
got a
of food.
mouthful of some kind of vegetarian something because he's not a real man and can't handle anything but vegetables.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for tuning into the Quirky Bird Show, and we will see you next Tuesday, 8:30.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on.